Michael, will you lead us in a flag salute?
Surely.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's do announcements. Sarah, do you have any?
The Westfield Green Team is calling on Westfield Intermediate and high school students to create Earth Day 2019 posters to be displayed in downtown store windows. This is not a contest. The Green Team hopes to use all of the posters. Please visit the Community Flyers section of the district website to read important poster guidelines. Entries must be submitted to the student's school office by Friday, April 5th, 2019.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael.
That's okay. Just waiting
I
for-
thought you had two.
No, I was waiting for the intro.
Drum roll. Here's Michael.
Congratulations to the Westfield High School seniors, Austin Chen, Madeline Reinders, Edward Zing, and Zachary Youssef, who have been advanced as finalists in the 2019 National Merit Scholarship Program, having met academic and other standards to become eligible for scholarships. The program honors students who show exceptional academic ability and potential for success in rigorous college studies.
Thanks, Michael. Brendan?
Thank you.
The Westfield High School Theater Department is proud to present Sweet Charity, book by Neil Simon, score by Cy Coleman, lyrics by Dorothy Fields, and original choreography by Bob Fosse. Performances on Thursday, March 14th, Friday, March 15th, and Saturday, March 16th, all beginning at 7:30 p.m. Tickets for Sweet Charity are $14 and are on sale at whstd.booktix.com. Advance purchases are recommended. Any tickets not sold in advance will be available at the door. Tickets are reserved seating.
Thanks, Brendan. Ken?
Yes, thank you. Save the date to see Beauty and the Beast at Edison Intermediate School at 4 p.m. on Thursday, March 7th, and at 7 p.m. on Friday, March 8th, and Saturday, March 9th. I'll be at that one. Tickets are $8 pre-sale and $10 at the door. For more information on ticket sales, visit sites.google.com/westfieldnjk12.org.s Markowski. Tickets are also on sale for the Roosevelt Theater production of Bye Bye Birdie, with performances on Thursday, March 21st at 4 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, March 23rd and 24th at 7 p.m. Tickets are $10 and can be purchased online at ris.booktix.com or at the door. There will be a special Q&A session with the cast immediately following Thursday's performance. This is a great opportunity for students to learn what goes on behind the scenes. Don't miss it.
Gretchen?
Yeah, I have two announcements tonight. The following Edison and Roosevelt student musicians have been selected to perform with the Central Jersey Music Educators Association Region 2 Orchestra and Wind Ensemble. Edison 8th graders are Kevin Chen on the viola, Stephen Wang, violin, Felix Yu, violin, and 6th grader Claire Chin, also on the violin. Roosevelt 8th graders Julian Hamilton, viola, and Tristan Rowe, cello. Roosevelt 8th grader Liam Murillo was accepted to the CJMEA Wind Ensemble on percussion. So congratulations to these talented musicians and also their instructors Amanda Gant and James Doyle. Then I have some student athlete announcements. Congratulations to the following athletes and their coaches. Boys bowling, who the team was the sectional champions this year. Boys ice hockey, McInnes Cup champions, and I think they're still in the race for to win the whole thing. Yep. Boys track and field 4x400 relay team had a first place finish at the Meet of Champions and Group 4 state champions. The 4 team members are AJ Olson, Steven Zucker, Matt McIntyre, and Jake Saltzer. Wrestlers Luke Hurley and CJ Composto are the sectional champions, and they each celebrated their 100th win. And wrestling coach Glenn Kurz was named District Coach of the Year. So congratulations to all of our student athletes and their coaches.
It
doesn't matter.
Well, I know she has days off of
Exactly. It's not that kind of announcement. It can wait. So during the summer of 2017, the district began installing solar panels at Westfield High School, Edison and Roosevelt Intermediate Schools, and Tamaulipas and Wilson Elementary Schools. We now have a way to demonstrate the positive impact this renewable energy source has on our environment and our district. So, as you can see over my shoulder, if you go to the district website at www.westfieldnjk12.org, choose the Departments tab, click on the Business Office, then check on the Facilities page. There you will find the individual links for each of our solar-capable schools, providing a real-time overview of the environmental impact. For example, at Westfield High School, the amount of clean energy generated by the solar panels equals the amount of CO2 emissions avoided by a family sedan driven approximately 417,000 miles. It changes, it gets updated, so it's probably a different number. The solar panels installed at the high school have generated enough energy to date to provide electricity to 64 homes for 1 year. These numbers are continually updated, so you might see a different number than the one I'm citing now. If you click on the current status, you'll see how many estimated kilowatts of energy are generated each day, each month, each year, and for a lifetime, the lifetime of the solar panel. Using solar power translates into an annual energy savings of approximately $100,000 to our district. For those of you who want to investigate further, the Weather tab, when it loads, it usually takes a while to load, but when it loads, it provides the kind of data that might answer, for example, why is there a dip occurring in the number of kilowatts generated on a given day? Even on a sunny day, you might see a temporary dip in the energy generated when a large cloud hovers for a time. So I encourage you to visit the business facilities page on our website to explore this and to glimpse into our solar panel initiative. And I also certainly encourage students to monitor it. I think they'll find it interesting, first of all, and I think they'll start to understand the impact of what we do to our environment.
We were having a little technical difficulties above your head. Could you go back to that a minute, Marianne? Because if you could just click on one of those and scroll down a little bit, because I think we didn't see the, click on one of the schools. You seem to like Tamaka was so good.
The problem is my eyesight.
There.
Click on the high school.
Click now.
I like to.
Now.
Now. Right.
And then just scroll down, because it's in the center there is where you see all these, like,
Right.
these facts that are pretty cool, that the kids can see. And there's monitors in the schools that have all this as well.
Oh, that's very cool.
That's cool.
Thanks, Marianne.
I don't know how I'm going to top that, but I'll try. All right, the Westfield Parent-Teacher Council's Special Education Committee will hold its 26th Annual Awareness Expo on Wednesday, March 13th at Edison Intermediate School. The expo begins at 7:15 p.m. with introductory remarks and presentation of the Make a Difference Award, followed by 4 sessions that will be presented twice, once from 7:40 to 8:40 p.m., and then again from 8:45 to 9:45 p.m. The expo is open to the public and free of charge. Those planning to attend are encouraged to pre-register by visiting the district website at www.westfieldnjk12.org, clicking on Parent-Teacher Council under the Family Resources tab, and choosing Special Education on the right-hand side. From there, click on Awareness Expo to pull up information on the sessions and the link to pre-register. Just makes it faster when you check in, when you get there. For professionals, they're offering credit hours as well. So being pre-registered helps with that process too. But I encourage everybody to attend. I've gone for years and it's really cool. Okay.
Great, thank you.
you.
And Dr. Dolan, I think you're gonna have to call my boss, because I may be watching that link on the thing.
I said the same thing. Something else to do at work.
So here at the board meeting, we have many opportunities that we honored our students and our staff. And this evening, I have the great pleasure of honoring our business administrator. And I will start by saying, I've been on the board for 4 years, and Dr. Dolan and you and your staff are amazing. And Dana is just a consummate professional. There isn't a question she doesn't know an answer for. And she never not gets back to you. She is, truly a great find for our district, and I applaud you in everything that you do. So today it's all about you. So each year, the New Jersey Association of School Business Officials NJASBO, just in case you needed the acronym, honors a small number of school business administrators for their long-term, continuous, and explanatory service. This year, Dana Sullivan is one of only 4 BAs statewide to receive the Distinguished Service Award. Mrs. Sullivan has served as the BA Board Secretary for Westfield Public Schools since 2012. Before coming here, she served in the same role for the Montclair Public Schools from 1997 to 2012. She currently serves as the chairman of the Education Committee for the NJASBO and as a trustee for the New Jersey Schools Insurance Group, NJSIG, a joint insurance fund provided to member school districts. We on the board are grateful for her sound and seasoned guidance and extend our heartfelt congratulations for this prestigious recognition. Thank you, Dana.
Thank you.
And last, the next meeting of the Board of Education will be held on Tuesday, March 12th at 7:30 p.m. at 302 Elm Street. The complete agenda will be available on Friday, March 8th on the board section of the district website in the business office at 302 Elm Street. Okay. Okay. On to the appointment of new board members. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I skipped again. I jumped from paper to computer. I'd like to recognize the public for agenda items only. Seeing nobody come to the podium, we'll move on to our next issue. At our last meeting, we interviewed, we had 2 positions that became available for the Board of Education after the resignation of 2 of our members due to personal issues. And at our last board meeting, we interviewed 16 community members for these 2 spots. It's been a long night so far. 2 spots. And I wanted to thank the 16 community members, because that is a great number, and I truly appreciate all people coming forth. The 16 people brought many different skills and talents to the table, and we had a very difficult and challenged decision to just pick 2. We would, of course, have liked to pick more. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the appointment of Robert Garrison to replace Charles Ostroff, and Brian Morrissey to replace Lynn Benner to the Board of Education from February 26th, 2019 through December 31st, 2019.
Second.
Ken?
Roll call.
Dan, you have a roll call?
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
And I believe we're going to swear.
Take a 5-minute break to
We're
swear
going to take
in.
a 5-minute break to swear Robin.
Is Robert sitting here?
No.
He's over
Yeah, I think they like you near the flag.
Makes for a better picture.
Right. Okay. I state your name.
Robert Garrison,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established in the United States
and to the governments established in the United States
and this state under the authority of the people,
and this state under the authority of the people.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I
I, Robert Garrison,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law
for the office of member of a Board of Education,
for the office of the member of Board of Education,
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of that office
all the duties of that office
according to the best of my abilities, so help me God.
according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
I have to do the lefty turn the page sideways signature. Much better.
Okay, thanks.
There's no real message.
Maybe that's the problem.
Okay.
It's good to have you back,
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Also, our other new board member, Brian Morrissey, is joining us here this evening. And once his paperwork is all signed, sealed, and delivered from the state, his fingerprints and so forth, he will also be sworn into the board and hopefully be sitting at the table with us on March 12th.
Welcome.
Thanks,
Yes.
Rick. Appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Dr. Dole.
Yes, so tonight our superintendent's report is a budget presentation as we continue to prepare for the 2019-2020 school year. And for this, I'm going to turn it over to our illustrious award-winning Business Administrative Board Secretary, Dana Sullivan.
Okay, so the 2019-20 budget. First slide is the budget calendar. So, as you know, on December 4th, we had a workshop, and the board gave input as to what the parameters for the building the 2019-2020 budget was. Since then, we've been working to put together the budget. We are still waiting on state aid information from the state. Normally, we would have that by now, but there has been a delay again in the state aid. Last year, there was a delay because the governor was in his first term. This year, there's a delay, I'm not sure why. So we are now told that the governor will make his speech on March 5th. They are required to give us information within 48 hours of his speech. So we expect probably 3:45 on March 7th, we'll get the state aid information. So the next board meeting is March 12th. The plan is to present the budget with the state aid to the board, so that may be different from what we're presenting tonight, depending on what information we get. We will have to adopt a tentative budget that night because it is due to the county on March 20th. The county then has a month to review it, and then we are required to hold a public hearing, so we have that scheduled for April 30th. We did change a board meeting because the state changed their schedule because of the delay in the state aid, so we originally had the board meeting in April as the 23rd, so we pushed that back to the 30th so that we would be within the state timelines. So the budgetary goals, so this is taken right from the guiding change document that we prepared in December at the workshop on December 4th. So the goals for this year's budget were to maintain class sizes within the policy guidelines, maintain funding for courses that have been recently approved and implemented in the district, maintain funding for the school resource officers that have been added over the last several years. The board wanted to provide funding for a health and wellness coordinator, so that's a new position that we have provided for in this budget. We needed to make sure that we've provided for recess requirements, new recess requirements. We haven't added any funds to this budget. We believe we can meet those requirements with existing staff. We wanted to maintain the fund balance that's undesignated at the 2% level and to stay within the 2% tax levy cap plus eligible waivers. So there's certain items that we are allowed to exceed the cap for, and I'll talk about that in a little while. The total budget increase from the 1819 original budget to the 1920 original budget is $3.1 million. 1.4 million of that is in increase for existing staff. We do have two associations that do not have contracts for next year. So we will be negotiating with them, and right now we have estimated increases in for those two groups. All other associations have contracts that are in place, so we budgeted appropriately with that. We do have a 10% increase in health insurance this year. We've been able in the last several years to budget small increases in health insurance because of our experience was very good. Just as a reminder, we are self-insured for our health insurance. This year, we're still doing well as compared to a fully insured plan. but we're running higher than we have. We do have insurance, stop-loss insurance for individuals that reach a certain amount, and then we also have insurance after the district reaches a certain amount. We currently have about 7 people that have reached the amount where the insurance has kicked in. So on the advice from our brokers, which is what our district-wide stop-loss insurance will be used next year for, we budget according to what that amount is. So the increase that's in there will provide us enough money in the budget so that we will be covered for the district stop-loss. So that 1.6 million of that 3.1 million is in insurance, health insurance. We do have funds added for the health and wellness coordinator that I spoke about earlier. We do have money in the budget to add 2.1 elementary teachers at the schools. So we have one school that's going down, a couple of teachers, and then we have 3 schools that I believe are going up. We project to go up in first grade. So we budgeted for that. We keep a tab on the enrollment and only hire if we need those positions. But at this point, we think we will need 2 positions, and then the 1/10 of a position is a small increase in the chief teacher at Lincoln. All other area, in order to get to that 2% cap, all our other areas of the budget, we've had to take a close look at, and have made reductions in some areas. We are maintaining programs, so the reductions that we're making are in areas where we can either save money through efficiencies, or where we might have spent money this year on things that were expenses that don't have to carry over into next year. But we haven't made any reductions to any existing programs.
Wouldn't that include the cafeteria RFP that just went out? The savings there?
No, cafeteria is a whole separate account.
Okay.
It's not part of the operating budget. The next slide is how we spend the sources of revenue for the operating budget. So $101 million is from local tax levy. The tax levy, so that's about 94% of our budget. So obviously the taxes are mostly supporting our schools. We do have the 2% increase in the tax levy, and we also are taking advantage of the waiver to that 2% that we're allowed to have for increases in health insurance. So the state will allow us to exceed the 2% cap to a certain level for increases in health insurance that exceed that 2% increase. So in this budget, we are taking advantage of that, as well as in prior years, we did not go up to the adjusted cap. So we were able to use $69,000 from prior years' cap waivers that we haven't used. The other pieces of the budget, we have tuition and student activity fees and miscellaneous revenue, which is about $534,000. We're anticipating interest revenue of about $500,000. I've also increased interest a little bit. We have been using $400,000 as our estimate. We are exceeding that because not only do we have funds in our reserve accounts, which is generating interest rates have gone up a little bit. They're still not high, but they're a little bit higher than they were. So I increased the revenue there. We continue to anticipate extraordinary aid from $975,000 from the state. Our current state aid is $3.8 million, so we are anticipating that same level for next year. We really should receive a little more than that, we believe, based on what we're hearing, but I didn't want to budget for that and then have to make reductions, so we kept that equal. And the fund balance, we continue to use $750,000 from fund balance to sustain the budget. So when you get the actual legal budget document, we are going to show more than $750,000 coming from fund balance, and that's because there will be some money going into reserve accounts. So as Finance Committee, I know, knows, when at the end of June, when we knew we had money left over from health insurance, we put a certain amount into reserve accounts, and then we kept some in case we had some unexpected loss of state aid or something. We wanted to have it available for us in the budget. But because we are at the maximum 2% undesignated fund balance, the rest of that money has to be used in this budget. So the difference, which is roughly $1 million, will go into reserve accounts with the budget. So next presentation, you'll see that in the numbers. Next slide is how do we spend this operating budget? So as we've talked about in the past, we are a labor-intensive business. So 82% of our costs go to salaries and benefits for those staff. The next biggest chunk is for tuition that we pay for students, special ed students that go out of district that we cannot meet their needs in district, so we send them to placements out of district. That's about 6% of our budget. 5% of our budget is in transportation costs and other insurance costs. So the health insurance is up in the salaries, but this is for workers' compensation and other insurance costs that we have in the district. We spend about 3% on supplies and materials, 1% on cleaning, repair, and maintenance, which is why it's very helpful that we have the money in the capital and maintenance reserves, because 1% is not a lot for our buildings, which are very old. And then 3% of our budget goes to outside providers, as well as, so that's behaviorists that work in the district, occupational therapists, PT, and legal costs. And for that 82% of the budget that makes up our staffing and benefits, the breakdown is 46% of those are for the regular ed teaching staff. Another almost 30% are for special ed teachers as well as paraprofessionals that work directly with students. We have another 7% that are for support for students, which is nurses, guidance, and librarians. 7% is for our maintenance, which is our custodial staff at all of the schools, as well as our district maintenance people. A little less than 6% are for principals, supervisors, and the secretaries that work with them. And then we have about 3% of everybody else, which is mainly the people that work in this building, central office. So cost containment, we have, especially with the tax levy caps that we have, we have had to find ways to control costs that do not directly impact the classroom. The main thing that we've done over the last several years is self-insure the medical and prescription plans. We still have to budget for those costs, but when we don't spend as much as we budget, which luckily we have been doing, we've been able to put those into reserve accounts or use them in the budget for other things as we get towards the end of the year. So that's been a big area where we've been able to control costs. We coordinate transportation to out-of-district placements with other school districts. So we have about 85 kids that go to out-of-district placements. If we had to send 85 kids on individual buses, that would cost us a fortune. So we have other school districts that may have kids going to the same school as we do, and we provide transportation with other districts. We also purchase many of our supplies through cooperative purchasing contracts that give us the ability to go out to bid with hundreds of other school districts, and also be able to compare prices between 5 or 6 different contracts that we're able to purchase off of to get the best prices. The solar panels, we saw a presentation on that earlier, and we are saving about $100,000 a year on our electricity costs, and that's because we are purchasing the electricity that is generated from those solar panels. We purchase at a much lower rate, because we don't own the solar panels, and another company does, but we purchase that electricity at a much lower rate than what we pay for from the utility companies. We work very closely with the town of Westfield and share a lot of services. They provide services to us, we provide services to them, and that allows us to reduce some of our costs. Over the last several years, we've brought back a number of special ed students, and I think Mike did a presentation earlier in the year showing the decrease in the number of out-of-district students. And because you saw the piece of the pie that went to out-of-district tuition, it's significant savings to us when we can provide services in the district. and significant savings in the area of transportation, when we can provide in-district services. Other than medical and prescription, the biggest insurance that we pay is for workers' compensation. You saw the slide that showed 80% of our costs are for salaries and benefits, so workers' compensation is a big part of what we insure. We have made great strides in reducing our experience rating in workers' compensation, and therefore our costs have come down. So we have saved there, and we'll continue to work on that area. So the state will take all of the audits that are submitted to them, and they calculate a cost per pupil. This is called a comparable cost per pupil, and so what they do for this calculation, it's not a total budget cost per pupil. They take out certain costs that are not considered comparable from district to district. So for instance, out-of-district tuition. Because for a small district, if they had one student at a really high placement, it would skew their cost per pupil. So out-of-district tuition is not in here, out-of-district transportation is not in here, and capital projects are not part of this calculation. I think those are the big ones that are not part of this calculation. So Westfield for the year, the most recent data that we have from the state is 2016-17. Our cost was $13,369. You can see Chatham and New Providence were slightly lower than we were, and all those other districts were higher than us, with the state average being $15,258. So that's almost a $2,000 difference per student, which if you multiply it by 6,300 students, that's a lot of money. So we continue that, although we certainly want to be efficient, this does somewhat hurt us because we are a low spending district already, and now our cap is set on the fact that we're a low spending district. So it's a good thing, but it also makes it more challenging to do our budget and come within cap every year. So the next steps for this, as I said, we expect to receive state aid March 7th. We will take the information we get at that point. We don't think it will be dramatically different than what we have now. We'll adjust the budget. With the state aid, we also get the second part of the download from the state with the legal budget. So there could be some changes that are required because we don't have all of the functions of the legal budget yet. There are calculations and whatnot that we have to do, and we have to have certain things, have to calculate a certain way. We don't have that from the state yet, so there might be adjustments we have to make, but I don't know what they are until I get that part of the download. That comes with state aid, so whatever time on March 7th we get that, we'll have the download, and then we'll crank out a budget for March 12th. And on March 12th, we'll present to you the budget as we are, and then we will submit it to the county. And at that point, I mean, we can make changes after that. It's not typical that we would make changes after March 12th, but we can if there's a need to make a change. So that's our plan.
So we have you said we have two contracts still to negotiate, right? Do either of them implicate the 18-19 year?
Yes, no, 1920.
1920.
Their contracts are in place for this
So
year.
the increase in salaries is just a reflection of, I mean, we're not anticipating any change in that?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Right.
And can I just ask a question? What's the difference between the regular state aid number and the projection of like 3.8 million and the extraordinary aid?
So extraordinary aid is not considered basic state aid. We actually have to apply for that.
Okay.
And that's based on extraordinary costs. So it's, for in-district students, if the cost is over $40,000, they go on the application. For out-of-district kids, if they're over $55,000, we have to actually do a detailed application showing each student and what their costs are and what make up those. So, and like that cost is inclusive of all special services that or therapies or whatever they receive. And then we submit the application, and we usually get around 65% of what we're entitled to. So we we usually receive a little more than 975, but you know me, I'm conservative. So I don't want to estimate a revenue that I'm not going to get, because then I have a problem on the expenditure side. So we usually receive around $1 million and 1.1 million. But we haven't even done the applications yet, so I don't even know what the full amount is, so it's hard to estimate the 65%. And we don't know if it will be 65, they could change that percentage as well.
Of course.
But that's what they've been doing over the last several years. But that's why I keep it separate though, because the 3.8 million is our basic state aid.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? I want to thank Dana and Dr. Dolan for, putting together such a fiscally responsible budget and while maintaining an excellent school system here for us in Westfield. And we in the community do appreciate that, so thank you.
Thank you.
Minutes. I'd like to approve the minutes of the board meeting held on February 5th, 2019, and the private minutes of February 5th, 2019.
Second.
Ken? All in favor?
Aye.
All any opposed? Or abstentions? Amy, personnel.
Yes, I would like the board to consider personnel items 1 through 25. Can I- Thank you, Rob. Jumping right in. And I think there's an item, Dr. Dolan,
There
for you to
is.
comment upon?
A personnel item number 1 is a retirement. So tonight I'm announcing with regret the retirement of Wendy Woodfield. For over 31 years, Wendy has been a music teacher in the district, working at Lincoln, all 6 elementary schools, and Roosevelt. Most recently, Wendy has worked with students at Tamaulipas and Jefferson, where she challenges students to do their best while enjoying the rich music curriculum. In her retirement letter, Wendy wrote that teaching music to the children of Westfield has been a complete honor and privilege. Born and raised in Westfield, music for me has truly been a Westfield story that I will cherish in my heart forever. Wendy's staying with us till the end of the year. She still has a couple of concerts to do before the end of the year. But once June 30th comes, we certainly wish her the best in her retirement.
Great, thank you. Facilities. Gretchen, do you have
We didn't.
I think we
didn't
did.
vote
Oh, we
on
didn't
that.
vote, I'm sorry.
Mike Phelan,
Yes.
So,
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Other personnel.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Robert Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig. Yes. Tara Porto,
yes.
Peggy Astor,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
Now Gretchen?
Sure. So there are no items to be considered tonight. I circulated notes from our Facilities Committee meeting last Friday where Dana and Mike Morris gave us an update for the bids on both the door projects and the auditorium/toilet renovation projects. I think both of those are probably on the agenda tonight under the Facilities Committee. We'll approve one and we're gonna rebid the other.
Under finance.
Under finance,
Yeah.
right, sorry. And I think the only thing worth noting is that they've started some initial work at Kaler that both, recognizes that we still have people using Kaler, but just to try and get a leg up on some of the work. So that I saw the bleachers are down and there's an alternate ingress and egress so that they're gonna start to break up some of the blacktop and do some of the
Correct.
masonry work or whatever the appropriate word is, right?
Yes, correct.
That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
With the door rebid, is that gonna push back the timeline?
We don't expect it to. We're going to advertise it again on Thursday. And open bids, I think we have March 12th or sometime relatively early March. And so we don't expect it to affect the
So still
timeline.
this summer, we're done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we were a little bit ahead of the game, luckily,
Right.
so
Right.
we have the
Right.
ability to do this and hopefully it'll all work out.
And we still have the TV studio, which we're still finalizing those plans, and we will be going out to bid for that pretty soon.
Great.
And we hope to try to do that this summer, or will that be?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can't start that till, I think right before school ends was the timeline that
Yeah,
the high
finals
school
week.
thought they could
Yeah.
do, yeah.
Great, thank you, Gretchen.
You're welcome.
Long-range planning, Amy.
Unfortunately, I have no report, and I'm figuring that this is the third time is the charm of saying we really need to get a meeting on the schedule. And now that we're sort of figuring out the bodies in the chairs, I'm feeling confident that at our next meeting, we'll at least have one on the calendar. So, thank you.
Thanks. Brandon, policies.
Yes, our last policies meeting was canceled due to snow. And our next policy meeting is March 19th. And then we do have a couple of items on the agenda here to vote on. Ask the board to approve policy item number 1.
Second.
Thank you, Kent. This is to approve for second reading the following policies. 8420, emergencies and crisis situations, and 9160, public attendance at school events.
Second.
Thank you.
Oh, did you second?
We already had a second.
You second the second?
Third.
Michael Beeland,
Yes.
Kent Diamond.
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig.
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
I ask the board to approve policy item number 2.
Second.
This is to approve for second reading to abolish policy 9110, quality assurance and annual report.
Michael Beeland,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan.
Yes.
Robert Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig.
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
And finally, I ask the board to affirm the superintendent's decision in HIB incident 19E07, 19R04, 19HS02, and 19J01 for the reasons set forth therein.
Second.
Thank you,
Second.
Ken. Dana?
Mike Beeland,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
I'll abstain.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
And that is it.
Okay. Curriculum, Amy.
Yes, let's see, we have 2 items for consideration. Item number 1, to approve the following district field trips attached. Can I have a second?
Second?
Thank you, Brendan. They're mostly spread across all the different schools. I just wanted to, I thought they were kind of an interesting variety of field trips. Some STEM students are going to be visiting the Prudential Center to see how physics is applied to hockey, which I thought was kind of an interesting one. The ABA students from Wilson Elementary School are going to be getting out into the community to work on social skills and being more comfortable being in groups, which I thought was an interesting one too. And then in June, Edison STEM students are going to be going to Dorney Park for Coaster Quest, which sounds like a cool field trip as well. Sounds similar to Physics Day that they do at the high school, which I know my kids have been able to do, so I thought that was kind of cool. So let's vote on those.
Mike Beeland,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes. And then item number 2, approve for second reading some curriculum items that we discussed at our last meeting. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kent. And because it's a second reading, and I already talked about them last month, I'm not going to talk again unless anybody has any questions. No? Okay, let's vote on those 2.
Michael Beeland,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes. Thanks.
Thank you. Finance, that's me. I'd like the board to consider items 1 to 25. Can I have a second?
Second?
Brendan? In here, I'd like to call out a couple of gifts that the district has received. Item number, gave me the look like I forgot. Number 20, accept a gift of $359.99 from the Westfield Booster Association to purchase a custom ball rack for the Westfield High School. Item number 21, accept a gift of $10,000 from the Westfield Theater Guild to help fund the purchase of LED lighting for the Westfield High School auditorium. Item number 22, accept a gift of a Baldwin upright piano valued at $500 to $700 from Mr. and Mrs. Sestero to Westfield High School. Number 23, accept a gift of $4,247.43 from the Westfield Coalition for the Arts to be used for partial funding for the purchase of LED lighting for the Westfield High School auditorium. And also number 24, accept a gift of $665 from the Westfield Coalition for the Arts to purchase a Shimpo pottery wheel for the Edison Intermediate School Art Department. Thank you, everyone, for those very generous gifts. They do help us in maintaining our programs and our facilities and everything, and we do appreciate those special gifts. Any questions?
I have a question. What are they doing? What are the light upgrades at the high school?
The stage lights, they're replacing those with LED lights that will give them more flexibility on like different colors and whatnot. But they're not doing it till after the show.
Okay. Okay, great.
Dina?
Mike Beelan,
Yes.
Kent Diamond,
Yes.
Brendan Galligan,
Yes.
Rob Garrison,
Yes.
Gretchen Olig,
Yes.
Tara Porto,
Yes.
Peggy Oster,
Yes.
Amy Root.
Yes.
Technology, Michael.
Yes, we haven't had a meeting since our last meeting, but we have one scheduled for this coming Friday, March 1st. And one of the topics on the agenda is reviewing the Google Analytics for the website, just to see how it's being used and look at if we need to make any changes or not.
Okay, great. I'd like the board to consider the notes for the record.
Second.
We don't have a second.
No.
No, we just note them.
We just know.
Keep going.
Everyone was just looking around, not saying anything. I thought I should jump in.
Do we have any unfinished business? No? Do we have any new business? Does anybody have any liaison reports?
I moved the Tamaulipas PTO last week. Nothing major, just normal business stuff. Everything's good. And then I meet with the library board Thursday night. Mike, I'll send you regards. Oh, they are doing his evaluation. If you have any comments, I don't know if they reached out to you.
I
or
submitted
not.
that already.
Okay. Good. Those were good.
Anybody else?
Yeah, for Lincoln, I wasn't able to attend the PTO meeting because I was sick, but I did connect with them and there was a presentation done for the parents by Anna Marie Kuba, 6 research-based strategies for parents, and she covered 6 different topics with them. I was told that it went very well.
Good. I also attended the Westfield High School PTO board for the first time. They're a great group of women doing many things. They're working on the Community Service Drive, which is a school district-wide initiative. Very involved. They're putting together packets for toiletries, and they hope to get 1 per every student, I think is what their goal is. So they're looking for donations and so forth. Also in their coming schedule, they're going to have a PTSO meeting where they're going to show the movie Angst, which I believe is the beginning of April. I think the date is moved maybe to the 8th, but I'll check that for the next meeting. And they're going to follow up with another PTSO meeting to try to put a career day sort of presentation together for students and parents and so forth to talk about different careers, where you can go after high school, after college, and so forth, and working with Maureen and so forth to put that presentation also together in April. So. Seeing no other liaison reports, I'd like to recognize the public for questions and/or comments. Seeing nobody come to the podium, I'd like to approve the following resolution. Resolved that the Board of Education move into private session for the purpose of discussing matters rendered confidential by state and federal law, legal matters, and be it further resolved that any discussion held by the board which need not remain confidential and the results of the discussion will be made public as soon as practicable. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in private session.